I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com. It's part 2 of the dogfight battle between the Galaxy S4 and the Galaxy Note 2. Two devices in the Samsung family. Which one's going to come out on top? Let's go find out in part 2. Part 2 of a dogfight battle between two brethren, two siblings, two brothers or sisters, depending on how you look at it, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 and the Samsung Galaxy S4. Different devices despite the same OEM. It all depends on what you want and what you need out of your smartphone, but this is a dogfight, and this time around we're going to declare a winner. Before we get into that, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy. They give us Note 2s all the time. If you've seen the pictures on Instagram that we post, and Galaxy S4s hopefully in the near future. So special thanks to them. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working regardless of which device you get. Maybe you get an HTC, maybe you get a Motorola device or a Nokia device. But make sure you walk out the door and you're good to go. Now I'm just coming back into part 2 talking about some of the software features that I was talking about in part 1. And despite some similarities with TouchWiz and with the overall look and feel of these devices, they're very different and appeal to different people depending on what you're most interested in your smartphone. I'm showing you right now the S Pen hover, as you can see over these emails. Well, you can do that over here on the Galaxy S4 as well. They brought the feature over in a lot of ways, or at least features of the Note 2 in a lot of ways, over, as you can see right there, to the Galaxy S4. So I can hover over it without touching the display and see a preview of my message, as I showed you in part 1. Go into the gallery, and I can hover over and show images as well. Nice features like that brought over to the Galaxy S4, and then some additional features as well, which we'll talk about in just a second. I do want to highlight, like I said in part 1, the functionality of this pen. I do find it very useful for taking notes. Quick brown fox. In class or in meetings, it's very functional all around. It's great for pictures as well if you're in the gallery, or if you want to do a quick edit of a picture and send it to somebody. I've got a camera right here. This scary picture of my face, I can double tap and not bring up S Note. I mean, press and hold if I want to, and then bring this over and doodle on it and say, this guy is awesome. And then send that off to my friends as I see fit. So I can really customize this and imagine a picture from a vacation. You've got a lot of abilities for content creation on the Note 2, and that's where this device is geared for, with a large 5.5-inch Super AMOLED HD display at around 720p. This one over here, much more of a traditional phone, fits easier in the hand, and they made some improvements to it over the Galaxy S3, not just on the software side, but on the hardware side as well. It may look similar, it's a bigger display, polycarbonate on the sides, Gorilla Glass 3 on the front. They've beefed it up, changed the color scheme slightly, and made it an all-around awesome choice in your Android choosing for 2013. Let's go through here as well and talk a little bit more about the software on this device, because they have chocked it full of software goodies. Some of my favorites, you've seen some of these before on the Galaxy S3 and the Note 2. Air gesture is new. I can make gestures with my hand above the sensor, and I can click here and it goes into all of the specifics. I don't have quick glance on, for example, where when the screen is off I can swipe over and see if there's any notifications or missed calls, etc. But what I do have enabled is air jump, scroll web pages, air browse, which I like, air move, and then air call accept. So when I get a phone call, I wave my hand over the display and it not only accepts it, but throws it into speakerphone. Great option for those people that have to take phone calls while driving. Motion as well, particularly useful, a direct call, whereas when I'm in a text message and I say, hey, you know what, I want to call my brother or call my mom, instead of just texting her back, I can just hold the phone up to my ear and it auto dials. Smart Alert's a great one too, because without turning the display on, I can lift it up and then I can see by a vibration if somebody's texted me, or I should say can hear by a vibration and feel if somebody's texted me or called me. Mute and pause is a good one, and then some of these are great as well, I just have them turned off. Motions and gestures, all very good on these devices. Let's load up Quadrant Standard and take a look at the speed tests here. Keep in mind 1.6 gigahertz quad-core Exynos CPU over here, 1.9 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU over here on the US version. We'll run the benchmarks now, and I'll talk a little bit about network performance here. Now, both of these are 4G devices. This unit's on Verizon, this unit's on Sprint. Sprint's rolling out their 4G LTE network. Dallas happens to be one of those markets. I've had varying results depending on where I'm at with the Galaxy S4. It works particularly well near my home. I get speeds between 20 to 30 megabits per second on a regular basis. With Verizon, many more 4G LTE markets. I think they just reached 500, if I recall, in the US. And that's 5 to 12 megabits per second guaranteed download speeds, 2 to 5 megabits per second guaranteed upload speeds. So if you're a Verizon customer, you're looking for that network where the most 4G LTE, the most 4Gs in the most places, Verizon's going to be your way to go, at least in that regard. But still, carrier independent. These are available on all the carriers in the US. This one will be available on all the carriers in the US. So not one of those devices like older HTC phones or even older Samsung phones where you had to make a choice based on your carrier and say, do I want this awesome phone or do I want this awesome carrier? Benchmark results here, 12,475 over here, 6,392 over on the Galaxy Note 2. So dramatically faster. That said, it's not indicative of day-to-day performance. I used the Note 2 for 6 months. I actually just switched to the Galaxy S4 for the 30-day challenge from the Note 2. Absolutely love the Note 2, love the features of the device. It was my personal device for a long time. Highly recommended it, had no issues with lag whatsoever. As you can see, both of these are substantially fast devices. Let's take a look at cameras as well. 8 megapixels over here, 13 megapixels over on the Galaxy S4, and you're going to see a wealth of new features that you didn't see over here. Now, this one brings to the table S-Beam, which you may love, where you can beam pictures quickly and easily, and then it's got some settings such as best photo, best face, where you can come in here and do face detection and share shot, where if I'm at a wedding, for example, I can set it up with my significant other or anybody that has a Samsung device, and from there, if we have it all set up, and we can share our shots, and I can walk out with 100 pictures even if I didn't take pictures for that example. If somebody took 20 or we all took 20 apiece, I walk out with 100 pictures assuming there's 5 of us. Particularly nice feature there. So a bunch of different shooting mode choices here. Best photos, pretty good. Happen to enjoy that one. You got HDR options as well. This one takes it to the next level with a bunch of different options out of the gate. This is one of my favorites. The ability to use both the front-facing and the rear-facing camera, and I'm on a 13 megapixel image right now, so it's a 4:3 ratio. And you can see I've got my front-facing camera running here, and I can make this nice and big. And so let's say I'm taking a picture of something for somebody back at home while I'm traveling for work, and I'm like, hey, take a look at this Galaxy Note 2, and I'm like, I'm so excited, so excitable. You can see right here, and then I can send it, and I can make this as big as I want to or as small as I want to within reason, and then I can change that around as well. So with both of these enabled, I've got the option to make a heart, for example, an instant pic. So really cool custom creation here, and really making this device your own from a camera perspective. And then when I get rid of this, I'll go out of that mode, and I'll click over here and take a look at modes. And they made it not only easier to use, but then you've got these shortcuts over here with the text where I can say, okay, auto, do I want that? Nah, sports, maybe that's not it. Eraser is a good one where if somebody's walking in the background, you can get rid of the quick moving shot or quick moving person behind you. Drama is good. If you're taking a picture of a quick, football game or something of that nature, you can take pictures and stitch them together into one dramatic picture. Particularly nice there. Really making this camera a lot better and a lot more functional for the mainstream consumer, and I find that a really nice, or to be rather, a really nice feature. Of course, you got still the same goodies here. Video camera on both, the ability to shoot at 1080p, and I like that. I like that a lot on both of these devices. We'll wrap it up by doing a speed test. Verizon 4G LTE versus Sprint 4G LTE. And let's see, speed test right there, speed test right there. Let's make sure we're on Dallas servers. And we are. Let's put it to the test. And I think you might know which one's going to come out on top, but we'll see. You know what? You never know. It could be a difference. 7 to 8 megabits per second over on the download side for Verizon, filling in that 5 to 12 megabit per second number they guarantee in their 4G LTE network, or their 4G LTE markets. Actually a little faster, 13 megabits per second. Upload speeds nice and fast, 12.41 megabits per second. Over here on 4G LTE, not the greatest in my office on Sprint, 3.06 megabits per second. Upload speeds have not populated yet, kind of hoping they will here soon. Let's see what we got. And it's taking its sweet time. Come on now. Chug along 4G LTE, chug along. I will say call quality has been nice on both of these devices. I've been particularly impressed. Pretty poor upload speed there of 35.35 megabits per second on the Galaxy S4. Now both of these devices, call quality is fantastic. Battery life though, does go to the Note 2, but I will say surprisingly not by much. When the Galaxy S3 came out, wasn't that impressed with the battery life. I was having a hard time making it through a day with heavy use, moderate to heavy use in the Galaxy S3, and so my thought was, yeah, you're getting a bigger battery on the S4, but a bigger display that's 1080p, gonna kind of be a wash. I've been really impressed with battery life on this device so far. It's not nearly as good as the Note 2 by any means, but I can easily make it through the day with this device, with the Sprint version. I'm working with the international one right now with the 30-day challenge, and so far it's not as good as the US version, but I will report back with full battery numbers. That said, this one is pretty strong. I can make it through a day. This one is incredible. I can make it a day and a half, 2 days on a regular basis on the Note 2. So take that and use it as you will. If you need the battery life, if you don't want to swap out your battery, this may be a better option for you. If you're okay with swapping out your battery and you're willing to go with a lower resolution display as opposed to this big, beautiful 5-inch 1080p display, it's all about trade-offs in this business, particularly in 2013. That said, it's going to be a winner of the dogfight, and based on features, hardware, camera, speed tests, all that stuff factored into one big number, Samsung Galaxy S4 wins the dogfight battle. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage. Let me know what you think on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker, and then on Google Plus as well at gplus.to/PhoneDog. Both awesome devices. Either one of these brethren, you'd be happy with. Take my word for it. Carried this one, working with this one now. They are both awesome devices that I would use at any given point. It just depends on what's most important to you. Big battery, awesome display. Big size for writing on the screen, pocketable. Depends on what you care for or what you care about. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time for the next dogfight battle.